Welcome to the follow-up video for our School of Rock session on guitar. In this session, we learn how to play the G, C, D, and E minor chords. There are 3 different ways that I will teach you how to play these 4 chords. Eventually, you'll want to learn how to play them all 3 ways because they all have a unique application depending on your skill level and experience on the instrument. They also have 3 distinct sounds, which is why even professional guitarists will sometimes choose to play the easiest version of these chords, because they like that sound or want to get that specific sound out of the guitar. The way that I teach chords is in 3 different levels. So let's start with learning the chords with what I call level 1. Level 1 means that we are just playing one note for each chord. So if the chord is a G chord, we would play the G note. If the chord is a C chord, we would play the C note. If the chord is a D chord, we would play the D note. And if the chord is an E minor chord, we would play the E note. So whatever letter corresponds with the chord, that is the note that we will play on the guitar. The G note is on the 6th string, 3rd fret. The C note is on the 5th string, 3rd fret. The D note is on the 5th string, 5th fret. And the E note is on the 5th string, 7th fret. Now, as long as your guitar is tuned properly, those notes will always stay the same. So whenever you see a G chord, play the G note. Whenever you see a C chord, play the C note. Whenever you see a D chord, play the D note. And whenever you see an E minor chord, play the E note. And that is level 1. Level 2 is the next level and means that we are playing 2 notes for each chord. And I will say that this next level is quite a bit more complicated to execute than level 1, especially if you're just learning the guitar. Many of my students will spend a good year working on level 1 before moving on to level 2. The chords in level 2 use 2 notes and are often referred to as power chords. We won't go into details on that now, but if you'd like, you can refer to level 2 as power chords. So if the chord is a G chord, we would play the G note plus the note on the next string 2 frets over, which I'll demonstrate for you. If the chord is a C chord, we would play the C note plus the note on the next string 2 frets over. If the chord is a D chord, we would play the D note plus the note on the next string 2 frets over. If the chord is an E minor chord, we would play the E note plus the note on the next string 2 frets over. So whatever letter corresponds with the chord, play that note, just like we did in level 1, and just add the note on the next string 2 frets over. The way I said that makes it sound much easier than it really is, so don't be disappointed if it takes a year or so to work up to playing the chords in level 2. It usually takes a good year or so to get used to that. But that's level 2. So now in this session, we are actually going to skip what I would normally call level 3 and move on to learning the first 4 open chords. These are very common chords that you would learn as a beginner, and they also can take a few years to learn how to play them well. I would only suggest moving on to these chords if you've already got the hang of playing the chords in level 1. So here are the open chords that I will teach you today. They are G, C, D, and E minor. You'll notice that the G and the C chord look very similar. G starts on the 6th string, and you want to take these 2 fingers and move them up to the 5th string, and C starts on the 5th string. The D is quite a bit different and starts with an open 4th string. The E minor is also a bit different and starts with an open 6th string. It's worth mentioning here that there are a few different ways to play these open chords, and the voicings that I'm using here are shapes that I've found students tend to pick up most quickly. But you will find other ways to play these chords in books and on the internet. Now, we saw a similarity between the G and the C chord a moment ago, but I'd also like to point out another similarity that exists with these 4 open chords. Take a look at the G and the E minor. See that we are only changing one note to get from G to E minor, or from E minor to G. Now that you know these chords, you'll have to spend some time memorizing the shapes and allowing the muscles in your hands to memorize the shapes as well. Again, I want to emphasize that this is not something you'll pick up overnight, but with regular practice and some coaching, you can learn how to play these chords. Once you get the chords under your fingers, you'll be ready for the next step, which is playing them in the context of rhythm. Now, I've written a book called First 4 Open Chords, which goes into a bit more detail about each of these chords, how to play them, and how to play them in rhythm. It's available in electronic form, so let me know when you think you are ready to give that a try, and I'd be happy to share it with you. Alright, well, good luck as you begin your journey learning to play the guitar.